Hi everyone. Today's somatic practice will involve experiencing the embodied anatomy of the lungs and our breath and the individual lobes of the lungs and how they can create internal support for the body. So it's nice to have something comfortable to lay on, and I also suggest having a blanket to go underneath your head or a pillow. When you lay down, you want to, if you're open with your eyes open, you want to be able to look straight up at the ceiling. If you notice that your head's tilted back and you're looking behind you, you want to prop the head up. You might even want to, if you have a blanket, fold it in half. Not only is this more comfortable and it puts you in better alignment, it actually helps to balance out your nervous system. So I invite you to lay down with me. You can close your eyes and just listen to my voice and just follow along in your own body. So we just take the legs and we rotate them inwards, and the blanket is going to come underneath the head and just right up to the shoulders. So this is also just inviting these shoulders to drop down. And if you were in an embodied yoga class, you might hear the teacher say that this is the arriving pose. And it really is just that. Let's all just arrive. Allow yourself to kind of catch up with yourself. Your body can really feel the ground underneath of it and move towards it for support. And just that small drop allows the body to just soften and spread a little bit. And just checking in with how everything else is feeling. From here, we're going to move into the lower lobes of the lungs. So we can just place our hands just underneath, finding the bottom ribs there. And just breathing. It doesn't need to be a big breath. Just feeling your breath. Noticing where the breath moves in the lower lobes of the lungs. Where does it start from, and where does it travel to? For me, the lower lobes of the lungs, they fill and they move downwards, giving support to the low back, pelvic area. I invite you to notice one side versus the other. Do they feel different, the same? And if one side doesn't feel like it takes in as much breath as the other, doesn't necessarily mean that there's a difference with the actual lung. It could be that there's muscular tension, there might be fascial restrictions around that area. But instead of breathing in more, trying to create more space, what if you explored a little bit of a deeper, longer exhale? And from the bottom of that exhale, found the inhale. So we always want to feel grounded first, find our roots, go down to go up. And we could think about our exhale being the grounding of the breath. And just continuing to breathe. Feeling the breath in the lungs as a source of internal support. Then we can move to our mid-lobes. So mid-lobes are underneath the chest, armpits. They're more in the front of the body. Now, anatomically, we only have 2 lobes on the left because our heart is there. But working in an embodied practice, we think of having 3 because the sensation is there equally, and I always have to make sure I explain this to if I have clients that are doctors or surgeons, because they kind of look at me funny and I'm like, I know. But sensing and feeling can be quite different than just knowing. So I invite you to sense and feel right side and left side, noticing which direction the breath travels. For me, I feel this moving more outwards, a fullness in the front. And these mid-lobes provide support for the arms, shoulders. You could even cross your arms this way if it felt a little bit more comfortable. So noticing that even though anatomically there's 2 on the left and 3 on the right, our experiencing is that they feel the same. Noticing again if one side feels a little different than the other as far as how much you breathe in and how much you breathe out. Again, I invite you to explore a little bit of a deeper exhale, moving inwards, finding the groundedness of the breath, and inhaling from that deep place of center. Let's just take one more inhale and exhale, experiencing the mid-lobes. That internal support. And then as we move upwards, we find these upper lobes of the lungs. So I like to think of the collarbones as the horizon, this long, wide horizon. And the upper lobes are like the sun, just sort of rising up above the horizon on the inhale and just setting behind the horizon on the exhale. This area of the body tends to get rounded forward, collapsed a little bit. So I invite you to feel the width of the upper lobes. Upper lobes giving support to the neck and the head. And once again, noticing one side versus the other, inviting that deeper, longer exhale. The exhale is the return home, and the inhale is the moving outwards. I invite you to feel all the lobes of the lungs now. You could keep your hands wherever you wanted them or just take them down by your sides. For me, I notice lower lobes, mid lobes, upper lobes filling. And as I exhale, upper lobes, mid lobes, lower lobes. A little bit longer. Exhale. To find the roots of my inhale. Experiencing all the lobes of the lungs, like different instruments in a symphony. Moving in different ways, but harmonizing. Providing three-dimensionality to the sensations of the body. Longer exhale, moving us into a more relaxed state of being. Creating vagal tone. I invite you to just continue to breathe easefully. Noticing how the rest of the body follows the movement of these lungs. Lungs fill and move the fluids out, bones out, muscles, fascia, and then exhaling, returning back inwards. Allowing the chest to soften and follow those upper lobes down. In times of stress or anxiety, the chest can get stuck in a mid-exhale, I might call it. Just allow the body to follow the breath and the lungs to conduct the movement. I invite you to continue to experience this breath. We're releasing the external breath and moving deeper into the breath of the tissues of the lungs, the cellular breath of the body. And you could continue exploring this breath. We can just take a little pause. Roll to a side. Take your time. I'm just pausing there. And then gently place a hand to the ground, move into it to roll up. And find a comfortable seated position. And the eyes could stay closed or just very softly open. Take a moment to notice how you feel. Sometimes by slowing down, we bump into habits. Could be habitual holding patterns, could be thoughts, could be emotional responses. And by slowing down, we can make choices. Choices about these relationships that we have with ourselves. maybe even bumping up into the reasons why. And you can decide, is it something that you're ready to release and let go of? Or are you not quite ready yet? Everything you feel is okay. And the way that you are right now is okay. It's always your choice. Being with self can be empowering, but also, especially as we first start out into these explorations, can be a little confusing, might even be a little scary, and all of that is okay. The practice of being with self is the practice. There really is no arriving, because it's all about the being. So before we end, I invite you to pause one more time just to notice how you're feeling. And maybe if you can look back to the beginning, think about how you were feeling before this practice. What are some of the words you could use to describe how you feel now? And if you don't have the language for it yet, it's so okay. Maybe it's just a sensation, a feeling. So I hope you enjoyed this somatic practice. And if you ever are feeling like you just need to take a breath, you probably need to take a breath, and it's okay. You can just lay down. You can just close your eyes for a moment, wherever you are, and just feel your breath. Maybe a little bit longer of an exhale. Your breath. Your beautiful, unique breath. Thanks for joining me.